Let's begin this hour with a search for solutions to Nigeria's challenge of out-of-school children. Joining us now is Professor Chukwuma Ozumba, who is a former Vice-Chancellor, University of Nigeria. Thank you for joining us on Newsnight. With 60% provisional results of what we have from schools, and of course 20 million Nigerian children out of school, and yet we talk about our students traveling abroad for higher education. What are we making of our educational system and indeed the future of our children in Nigeria?
Thank you very much for inviting me to this program. If I go straight to the point about what we are making of the education system in Nigeria and the future of our children, I will say that the situation is dire. To be listed among the 3 countries of the world with the highest number and rate of out-of-school children, with Pakistan, India, and then Nigeria, is most unfortunate. I will say that we have not given our children the best of opportunities. The least we could do is to equip them for their future lives. But without education, we rather handicap them. It is well known that Nigeria has enacted the Child Rights Act by 2003, whereby on paper every child is guaranteed a minimum of 9 years of education free of charge. The situation is, how seriously has this been implemented across the geopolitical zones, the states, the local governments of Nigeria? That is the problem. The educational situation in the country is very dire, and some people have called for a state of emergency on education. That is the situation.
Now, when we say there's a need, that call was made for a state of emergency to be declared in Nigeria's education sector. But specifically, we're talking about the out-of-school children, 20 million. And when you break the numbers down, you have 10 million at the primary school level out of school, 8 million out of secondary school. Where does that equipping start? You talk about the need to equip these kids. How do you even begin? Where do you start from?
That is the situation. The statistics that has been rolled out, 20 million, out of a population of 220 million, is most unfortunate. No other country in the world has that statistics. It's been said that 1 out of every 5 children that are out of school is found in Nigeria. And this is not uniform in Nigeria. It varies from geopolitical zone to geopolitical zone. You know, spreading from southeast, northwest, northeast, north central, southwest, south-south. You find out-of-school children, but in different rates. The situation is that so many things have been listed as causes of out-of-school children. They've talked about lack of finances, parental, national. We say that only 5% of our budget is dedicated to education. It is on the, education is essentially on the concurrent list. But the local government and the state governments are supposed to look after the primary and secondary school education. Whereas the federal government lends some assistance, it has offered technical and financial assistance, has set up UBEC, and so on. But this has not truncated the problem. It has not mitigated the problem. Rather, we've not seen out-of-school children rate in Nigeria falling as dramatically as it should be. Nigeria has more than enough resources to deal with out-of-school children. But what is the situation? We've looked at what our founding fathers did in the past. In the western part of Nigeria, free education was declared. Even drummers went to the villages, drumming that every child has to go to school or the parents is dealt with. But what is the situation today? It has not been done. It has not been taken to the grassroots. As an educationist, about a decade and a half ago, I was among some professors and other academics who were sent around to do what they call institutional accreditation. We went to the west, went to the northwest, went to the northeast, went north central. As we were going through the northeast, I was alarmed to see the number of people walking around during school hours. And I said, this is definitely a national security issue. Nigerians talk about national security issue. It's not just people carrying machete and guns and so on. Children who should be in school, we have to know what we mean by definition of out-of-school children. A child that is between 6 and 11 years ought to be going to the primary or elementary school. And when he does not go there and is involved in child labor and so on, he's an out-of-school child. Or when the parents give him out or give her out for early child marriage, it's an out-of-school child. And these are very good materials for those looking for those to be exploited.
Prof,
yes?
that figure, 20 million, is quite alarming. But back up a little. Is there any possibility that COVID-related school closure could have affected our school?
Well, I will say to some extent. Now we say 20 million. Now it is controversial. It has been given by different bodies. UNESCO puts at 20 million because they use from 6 to 18 years. Now, the Nigerian Ministry of Education puts it at about 10 to 11 million because they use from 6 to 11 elementary school. But you find that they are all exactly the same. It's just the age bracket that is used. Definitely, COVID escalated the number, but not significantly to alter the rate. It increased because some children who went back never came back to school. Remember, some of them, they are vulnerable. Some of the girls became young mothers. Some of the boys went to childhood labor and so on. It affected it, but that is not the only cause. We know that there are several layers of causes of out-of-school children. A major one, as I told you, is socio-cultural. Cultural, some people do not see why children in their societies should go to school. They should be at home, helping to farm, animal husbandry, and so on. The girls, they do not see the value of sending them to school. They should marry them off. That's another source of income for the family, and so on. Those are socio-cultural. And it's still endemic in certain parts of Nigeria. The 20 million is real. And that is the situation. It's a question of what bracket are you using. Definitely things like COVID assisted and so on, but that is not all.
Beyond what contributed to it, is
so
it possible to come up with short, medium, and long-term solutions to the issue of out-of-school children? What would those be?
Oh, definitely. Definitely, the federal government has, the last administration just signed the Almajiri bill, but I believe those are just semantics or gimmicks. They are fundamental things. You know, we talk of governance is the major one. As I told you, the Western region, they enacted free education. Eastern region, the premier at that time, Right Honorable Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, said that 1 out of every 2 Nigerians going to school were from the place. He knows what he did in education because he was an educationist, and so on. And then when you come down to the layers, you found out there's immense corruption in the country. We started school feeding to entice children to the school. What happened? Children were being served bland food, a slice of bread. The money found their way into other pockets. There's immense corruption in all these things. Government has set up bureaucracies, has set up UBEC, has set up and so on. Apart from that, as I said, there's already challenges. We have terrorism and so on. As I said, we have social-religious problems where some people don't believe that they should have Western education. We have already endemic illiteracy, where Nigeria is about one of the most illiterate countries, with more than 30% of the population not able to read and write, and they are illiterate. So what they would understand the value of sending the child to school. These are the issues. Now again, the government has to get firmer. In some communities, it becomes a child abuse when a child does not go to school. The neighbors will report. The parent is charged to court. We don't do that in Nigeria. It should be enforced. We've signed a bill. We are very good in signing bills and enacting policies. Child Rights Act. If the Child Rights Act is enforced, there will be no out-of-school children in Nigeria. This is true. And I believe we should get very serious about it. We'll talk about state of emergency and so on. We should start from our legislative houses. It should now become responsibility of the legislators to make sure that their constituencies, the Child Rights Act is enforced, and that the children are sent to school. You know, we talk so much about constituency projects. Enforcing children going to school should become a constituency project.
And that's an amazing place to live it. A fantastic place to live it. Thank you so much for your contribution. Professor Chukwuma Ozumba is former Vice Chancellor, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Thank you for joining us on Newsnight tonight.